Bonjour, ma belle. Are you ready to dive into some literary drama? Because today we are going to talk about It Ends With Us. And not just the book, but the author too. But you have to trust me when I say this is not your typical I hate Colleen Hoover video. So now you'll have to watch the intro and I'll see you right after that. Hey there. Just a quick disclaimer before we get to the juicy part. See, I know Colleen Hoover can be a very polarizing author, and that's completely okay. This video is not about generating hate or telling people what they should or should not like. It's just about sharing my own perspective that we should not judge books or the people who read them just because we don't have a good feeling about the author. See, all I'm saying is, if you like Colleen Hoover's book, read more of them. If you don't like Colleen Hoover's book, you can just skip them. But don't cringe out on people who do like her novels. So, now without wasting another second, let's get to it. Alright, let's talk about the Colleen Hoover roller coaster. For me, it all started on Instagram. There was a time when every other reel was raving about how amazing her books were. I literally saw videos of people crying or sobbing over It Ends With Us, sometimes reminders of him. Colleen Hoover was all over Instagram. But then, out of nowhere, the tide turned. Suddenly, people hated her to the extent that I saw people burning down her books. And I was so confused. Why the sudden hate? So I did a little digging. Where does this sudden hate for Colleen Hoover come from? Turns out there are quite a few reasons. First of all, she allegedly supported her son through a sexual harassment trial, which was bound and justified to get hate. Then there is this criticism that all her books are just about romanticizing abuse, which might be true for some people. And lastly, as if all of this was not enough, there were some issues with the It Ends With Us casting. Let's just say people were not impressed. So, for a while, I thought that this phase would just go away. It would die like a Gossip Girl scandal. But slowly I saw that even It Ends With Us, a book that was the first book of so many new readers, started getting hate. So much hate everywhere. So now that It Ends With Us is turning into a movie, I wanted to go back and see what's going on now. But here's the kicker. Now that I searched why people hate Colleen Hoover, all I could find was that they find her books boring and plain. Huh? Isn't she the same Colleen Hoover the whole damn Instagram was crazy about? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that all of her books are masterpieces. For me, I don't think Reminders of Him or Ugly Love are her best works. But again, if you like them, girl, I stand. Maybe I didn't understand them the way you did. But for me, I personally really like Verity. I think Without Merit is really good too. And then there's, of course, It Ends With Us. So let's keep it real. You can hate the author, but you should give credit where it's due. And with that, now I'll start with the book that got her all the fame that she has now. It Ends With Us is Colleen Hoover's most talked about book, and for some good reasons. The fast pace of this book keeps you glued to it, sometimes even making you utterly anxious. The characters, flawed like your ex's excuses. They are as real as it gets. Sometimes they will make you feel the raw, naked truths of dealing with domestic violence. Because life isn't a fucking fairy tale all the time. So, whatever you do, whatever you're doing, drop it and read It Ends With Us. Trust me, it's worth it. Love it or hate it. It's a book that gets people talking and leaves an impact. So once you're done reading it, circle back to this video and I'll find you right here. So right now, everyone and their mother has read It Ends With Us. But if you haven't, I'll say you stop here because there are spoilers ahead. So, It Ends With Us revolves around Lily Bloom, who has come to Boston to open her own flower shop. Here, she meets Ryan Kincaid, our oh so charming neurosurgeon, and soon falls in love with him. But This is where it starts getting deep. Ral has his own demons, and soon, even after his initial charms, his temper issues and his issues with violence come rising to the surface. Lily finds herself in a cycle of domestic violence pretty similar to her mother's. And this is where I should also mention the trigger warnings. The book is deep and heavy with domestic violence and issues with domestic abuse and physical abuse. So make sure you go through the list before you start reading it. Between all of this, we keep getting flashbacks of Lily's childhood and we get to know about her first love, Atlas Corrigan. Atlas was a homeless boy that Lily helped, and during all of that, they discovered a deep bond between themselves. We get to know that Atlas and Lily shared a deep bond, and fast forward to now, we see Atlas is coming back in Lily's life, which adds another level of complexity between Lily and Ral's relationship. The story takes another turn when Lily finds out that she's pregnant and she's forced to choose between staying with Ral or giving her child a potentially abusive environment to grow up in. In a moment of resolution, she tells Ral that it ends with her. The cycle of domestic abuse that her mother has endured and she has endured has to end with her for her child's sake. And that's where it ends with us. Now, I'll tell you my take on the story. And it ends with us. Some people claim that Colleen Hoover is glorifying domestic abuse. But I think that it's quite the opposite. Think about it. In movies like Superstar, where it's clear to see who the villain is, we all know that the father of the main character is the bad guy because he beats his own wife and he's painted with cruelty all over. But it ends with us that those lines are completely blurred. The Ral that slams Lily or pushes her off the stairs is the same person who elopes her to Vegas to marry Noy, or tells her, quote unquote, that he will change his career's direction to make her happy, his wife happy. And that's why it's incredibly hard for Lily to leave him. She keeps thinking again and again and yet again that Ral will change, just like many real survivors do. We see Lily returning to Ral multiple times before she finally gets rid of him for the sake of her child. Compare this to the Indian movie Darlings. If you have seen it, you will know that Alia Bhatt also keeps going back to her husband because even though he abuses her many times, he is also so loving towards her in the morning. That's the same that's going on with It Ends With Us. Lily's character also adds another level of complexity to this book because we find that Lily keeps lying to Ral about Atlas and is clearly interested in Atlas even though she's already with Ral. Which I'm not saying is any excuse for Ral's behavior. It doesn't justify it at all, not at all. But still, the mistakes that Lily makes also adds another level of complexity and the grey area to the book. Because we can't put any character, not Ral, not Lily, in the column of good or bad. That's what makes it so real and relatable. Because it's not only a story about glorifying domestic violence like many claim. It's about the true form of human flaws. Everyone has them. The struggle to break free. Everyone struggles. And the true meaning of having a relationship and how love can make you go so many limits just because you think someone actually has it for you. Obviously, if we are talking about It Ends With Us, we can't leave her little sister out. Remember how I told you about the complexity of characters and how you can't put them in good or bad? Well, yeah, it starts with us completely rips that away from Ral and even from Lily. Ral, who was a complex character filled with love but battling his own issues, now turns into a completely bad domestically abusive person. And Lily, poor Lily, is shown struggling and keeping Ral away from her own daughter, which just adds more bad area to the book. Where we saw It Ends With Us as a gem, a fast-paced, beautiful, deep novel, It Starts With Us just felt like it was milking its own predecessor's success. And to be honest, I personally feel that maybe, just maybe, It Starts With Us with the start of Colleen Hoover's downfall. Because let's be real, we were waiting for this sequel for months and months, and it was just not impressive at all, and it was not worth the so much many months of wait we did for it. But one thing that I do like about these novels is the cover. In It Ends With Us, we see that Lily goes through so much hardship, and the cover had the crushed lilies on it. But then it in It Starts With Us, we see that Lily gets married to Atlas and is beginning her own new life. So there are these full blooming lilies on the cover. That is something that I really adored. And now I'll just quickly sum it up for you and we'll end this video. Here are my final two predictions. Not all of Colleen Hoover's books are amazing, but we shouldn't discredit the ones who actually are. And now, before I leave, I'll ask you to read It Ends With Us. Or don't. But don't slum people who actually love it. And if you have loved or you would like to read any of the books that I have said are not good in this video, I actually encourage you to read them and find out your own opinions. See if you like it or not. What's the harm, and who am I to disregard your opinions or your taste? See, everyone's reading journey is completely different and personal. That's what makes it so special and such a great hobby to have. So, that's all for today. Keep turning those pages and I'll see you next time.